Today's guest on episode 3 of the Tone Countrycast has become, without question, one of the biggest singer-songwriters in country music. She has 5 number 1 singles. She's an ACM Award winner, a Grammy nominee, a Grand Ole Opry member, and she's nominated again for the Female Artist of the Year at the upcoming CMA Awards. She's been here in Australia to perform at the very first Country to Country Festival and has just released the stunning new song, Homecoming Queen, the first release from a new album which will be released next year. Kelsea Ballerini, welcome.
You make me sound so cool.
Well,
Thank you for
cool.
that.
I mean,
it's so good to see you.
It's great to see you too. It's
My
great
goodness.
to see you back here in Australia. Does Australia feel like a second
It's my
home
home
to you
away
now?
from home. It really is. I mean, I guess the first time I was here was like 4 years ago? And I've been here, I think this is my 7th time. So yeah, spent some time.
You know, when you first came here, you just released your first album. You did an industry showcase at the Beresford, just up the road. This time around, you're playing C2C as one of the headliners. As you continue to build, this career of yours, now you're doing headline tours, you're collaborating with global stars, you're getting nominated and winning major awards. Do you feel more pressure now to live up to people's expectations?
It's funny because, like, mathematically I probably should, but I feel less. I think the most pressure I've ever felt was before I put out Unapologetically. I think because when I made my first album, I was really just signed as a songwriter, and I was writing all these songs, and I wanted to be an artist, but like I didn't have the opportunity to yet. So I was like kind of essentially maybe writing for other people, but I didn't know. And then all of a sudden I got a record deal and took the songs that I had already written and made my first album. So I didn't really have like the ability to overthink it. And then the second album, like I had 2 years to overthink it. Like every song I wrote, I was like, is this good enough? Is this going to be, a follow-up to like 4 hits? Like, I don't know if it's good enough.
Always the hardest album to make, the second one.
Yeah, and then people are like, oh my gosh, have you heard of the sophomore slump? I'm like, oh my God. Just panicked. So I think I probably put a lot of pressure on myself for that album. And obviously, like, I'm really proud of it. But I think that for me, like, I remember just being really nervous about that whole chapter of music and just hoping it was good enough. And I mean, man, I'm obviously like I want people to love everything that I put out, but I love it. And I'm really comfortable with that now. I think like the music I'm making right now, I really love it. And to me, that has weight to it. That means something. So I think the anxiety is probably out of it a little bit more on this album.
I feel like artists who have major success early in their careers, like you've had, seem to have better support around them these days than, say, artists did 20, 30 years ago. Has that helped you, having supportive people around you that care for you as a person as well as an artist?
I mean, I think that it's so important to just like not have people that are always going to say yes or always say that it was great. Especially because I'm never content with anything that I do. I'm always like, how can we make this better? How can this be cooler? What's next? How can we push boundaries? And I think the way that you do that is having a team full of people that are honest with you and help you kind of push yourself. And yeah, I'm lucky. My entire team, then also my just friend group, my friends that are outside of music, they're also like that. They're like, there are literally times where I'll get together with my college roommate, and she will not bring up the fact that I like had just done whatever, like just got off tour. She's just like, she doesn't want to talk about it. And I love that because it brings me back to, like being in college and wanting to have a record deal.
Do you make a conscious effort to try and stay grounded and make time for your friends who have nothing to do with your career?
Yeah. I mean, especially this year. I think this year I had the luxury of having a summer at home more than I have since I've gotten started. And I went into this season of like, you know what? I don't want to only be good at being on the road. I don't want to always want to be gone because I love work so much, which I do, like, because it's not work. It's, it's touring, and it's touring music that I've gotten to write and had success with. So that's never work, but I don't want that to be my full identity, and I don't think it's healthy. And so this year I've really gotten to kind of just have the time to invest in my real life and like be a better daughter, be a better wife, be a better friend, and not miss as many birthdays and all that kind of stuff. And it's made me a better artist because I've been more balanced and I've gotten to live a life to write songs about. That's why I think I'm so excited about this new music, is because it's like, it's based off of my life, like a real life, not just like a life that I cram in one day a week. Yeah.
Let's talk about your song with the Chainsmokers, This Feeling. Huge pop hit. How did that collaboration come about?
It's funny. I think I just like willed it into happening. I had never done a collaboration before, and people just asked me for like every red carpet. They're like, "Who do you want to collaborate with?" And every time I would just say the Chainsmokers. And I covered Closer for an entire summer on tour, and so like people would tag them in it and stuff. I actually met them at the Grammys when we were both nominated for Best New Artist. And, told them I was a huge fan. And I literally think that I just like kept saying it over and over and over again, where finally they're like, okay, this girl needs to shut up. We need to just give her a song. But yeah, they sent me This Feeling, and it was kind of right aligned with Unapologetically, which was, the whole message is following your heart, not overthinking everything. And I was like, this is perfect. And it's just been such a fun collaboration. I've loved every minute of it.
Do you remember the first time you heard it on pop radio?
I heard it on pop radio. I had just done something with the guys in LA. I forget what show it was, but we had just done some performance of it. And it was on Kiss FM out there, which is like their big pop station in LA. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Has
that been a goal of yours to have a presence in other formats beyond just country radio?
I mean, when I think of Shania Twain, like, she was a country artist, but she was a mainstream act, and I think there are a lot of country artists that want to be a country artist but a mainstream, person. And for me, I've gotten to do a lot of like co-hosting and that kind of stuff and TV stuff, but I really want the music to align with that and be country but have things that cross over in that way, for sure. Yeah.
Is it a challenge creatively to get that balance right when you do have a sort of strategy, the Shania Twain strategy of trying to be a mainstream artist as opposed to just someone in one format? Is it a challenge to keep everyone, happy on country radio?
I've had this theory that someone told me really early on. And it's the theory of there's credibility and there's celebrity. And there are some artists that fully invest in celebrity, and there are some artists that fully invest in credibility. And you have to choose what you want, choose what you want to go after. But I've always really wanted to parallel. Like, I've always wanted to write all my songs and then perform them in an arena. I wanted to do both. And so I think for me, anytime we do stuff, like whether it's something with the Chainsmokers or we have a pop collaboration on my album coming up, like I want to align it with something that is credible, is something that is true art. And I think it's probably something that I'll always try to walk that line carefully, but I'm always mindful of that.
I guess it's been about 5 years since you put out your first single.
So crazy.
In terms of the music industry as a whole, what do you think is the biggest change you've seen since then?
Well, I mean, the obvious answer would be streaming, and the importance of that, which I guess
you put that song out right at that kind of
right when
time when it was just starting to take off.
Which to me is exciting. I mean, there's all the intricacies of it all, like that need to catch up, like the songwriting part of it all. But yeah, I think it's exciting, and it allows for honestly like us to have one country radio single and then another single that we playlist differently and has different ears on it, and that's pretty cool to have different avenues for different songs to have a life. The other change would probably be, and this is so over talked about, and I'm sorry to even bring it up, but just like the whole women in country music thing. That's definitely been something that has not ebbed and flowed as much as it should have the last few years.
I'm going to come back to that
a
little later on. In terms of the music industry as a whole, do you think there are more opportunities now, 5 years down the track, for country artists?
I think there's more opportunities for every artist now. I mean, you can truly create your own career, whether it's through YouTube or through streaming services or anything. I mean, there's so many different creative ways that you can get started now. It's not like move to Nashville, get a record deal, put out a single. Obviously that's what I do. But yeah, I think there's different ways for different artists to really get themselves heard. Woof. Help.
I feel like if a song like Peter Pan was released now, that it could have been a pop hit.
Oh, thanks for saying that.
Does that frustrate you?
No, I mean, it's funny. Like with Peter Pan, that was the song on the first record. Like we had Peter Pan when we were having the discussion of what is the first single, but we just felt like that was the kind of song that could be kitschy. Like I could become the Peter Pan girl if we didn't do it right, you know? And I think that's why we made it the third single, is because we wanted to have a foundation of groundwork of, you know, oh, she's saying dibs. Oh, she's saying let me like you mean it. You know, it's that girl, not like, oh, she's the Peter Pan girl. Yeah.
I think one of the reasons I say that is, you know, the success Morgan has had with Day Drunk, that just wouldn't have happened with a song like that 5 years ago.
It's amazing. I mean, yeah. I remember last time we were here together, we heard it on the radio on the pop station. We were like, oh my gosh, this is insane. So exciting.
Yeah, it was number one on pop radio
for 2 weeks. Which we celebrated hard for that one.
Rightfully so. I mean, I can tell you, having worked in country music here for a long time, that is a just phenomenal result.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm proud of him.
What's your relationship like with the media overall?
I think that I talk, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I have no filter. Like, people know this about me. I just don't, whether it's social media or on stage or with media. I talk like I talk to my friends, and sometimes that puts me in a spot where I'm like, oh, I did say that. That's weird of me. But I think it just hopefully is authentic and real.
Is it hard dealing with rumors and stories that are untrue?
I haven't had too much of that. I mean, honestly, that's the beautiful thing about country music, is the media is really kind to you. There's no one that's like waiting to get an unflattering photo of you, you know, like that's just not really how Nashville works. So I'm knock on wood, I've been blessed.
A couple of weeks ago, I read an article in one of our newspapers that was promoting your appearance at Country to Country.
Oh boy.
And the headline read something, I can't remember exactly, but it was something along the lines of, the new Taylor Swift is set to perform at C2C Australia. Now, Taylor's amazing. I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah.
And it's not the worst thing you could say, you know. But, you know, this is your third time here now. You've had a lot of success. You are a unique artist in your own right. How do you feel about a headline like that 5 years down the track?
Yeah, I mean, being compared to the biggest superstar in the world is never a bad thing. Also, I admire her so much as an artist and a songwriter and a businesswoman. So that would be the beginning of my answer. But yeah, I mean, I think when you say the next whoever, I think it's kind of disqualifying the artist. And I think that I get that people will be like, oh, well, she's, you know, a young girl that plays guitar and moved to Nashville and writes her own songs. Taylor Swift. Like, that's an easy comparison, but I think that it, yeah, I mean, Yeah, I think that it just maybe takes away from her and me.
Yeah, I think it's
But I love Taylor Swift.
as we all do. Her new album is fantastic.
Yeah, love her. God.
Of all the songs you've written and recorded so far, and let's exclude Homecoming Queen because we'll talk about that a bit later, is there one that stands out as the most special?
On the first record, the most special is a song called Secondhand Smoke. It's the only song I've ever written about my parents' divorce. I've never sang it live. It's always just had its special place on the album. But that for me was a really like therapeutic song to write. And on the second album, probably In Between. I feel like it was like such a diary entry of exactly what I was stuck in between. Like when I wrote it, I'm really proud of that one.
In terms of everything you've achieved in your career so far, how does being asked to be a Grand Ole Opry member rate against everything else?
I mean, that's the pinnacle. Like as a country music artist, that's the stage that you want to step into, and that's the family that you want to be a part of one day. And like it's always been like on my bucket list, but I never thought it'd happen this soon. I mean, I'm a baby artist still. Like I truly am.
You were the youngest inductee
I'm
since
the
Carrie
youngest.
Underwood, I think.
I'm the baby of the Opry now. Yeah, and also like in the last 10 years, the only females that have been inducted are Carrie and Crystal Gale. So just to be able to kind of be a new female in that world it's a huge honor. It really is.
I absolutely love your duet, Walk Away Joe. Carrie Underwood. It's on YouTube. Check it out if you haven't.
That
you
song
both
kills me.
absolutely nailed it. And I know you admire Carrie. How nervous were you before that performance?
My favorite part of that whole induction was something that no one actually saw. It was backstage. I knew Carrie was inducting me, and she had called me actually a couple of weeks before to ask like what we should sing on the stage. And we decided on Walk Away Joe, the Trisha Yearwood song. And we were backstage and we were rehearsing it with the band and kind of working out, okay, I'll sing this, you sing this, I'll take the harmony here, whatever. And we got to the chorus, and all of a sudden we just heard another voice come in behind us and take the third part harmony, and it was Keith. And to me, that is the Opry in a nutshell. It's like you're backstage playing with like world-class musicians, singing a Trisha Yearwood classic with Carrie Underwood, and it just so happens that Keith Urban walks down the hallway, knows the song, and took the harmony. And that was the most precious moment of that entire induction for me.
There's obviously a big push at the moment for more equality on country radio, which has to happen. It seems someone like myself insane.
Yeah.
But it's a reality. We have 3 female hosts for the CMAs, and the theme of the awards will be to celebrate the great women of country music. I sense there's a real camaraderie, between a lot of the female artists now. A lot of support for each other's releases. I know some of you guys have the same trainer. There's been photos on Instagram.
That's funny.
And yeah, obviously also you're in competition to a certain degree as well, friendly competition. But I guess that, someone say like Maren Morris, whose career took off at around the same time of yours, or a Carly Pearce, would understand the challenges you face as an artist more than anyone. Are they important relationships?
Yeah. I mean, Maren is like my counterpart. You know what I mean? Like we both kind of came out at the same time and had success at the same time and are essentially like carrying the torch for new females. And it's so interesting because when she first came out, it was like this weird, everyone kind of like was like, oh, like weird when they brought up Maren, or like weird when they brought up me to her, and like made us feel weird about each other. And
you're both really different artists and really different people.
And now
well.
now we're really good friends. But for a while we were like, oh, everyone's making us feel like we can't like each other. This is weird. And we truly had to we had to sit down together and be like, okay, I feel weird. Do you feel weird? I feel weird too. Okay. And now we have such a beautiful, honest conversation, like friendship. And we get together like once or twice a year, just me and her, and drink way too much tequila and just get down to it. And we talk about everything we're going through, stuff that we're excited about, stuff that's been difficult, like just music industry, like shit, like all of that. And it's been great. Like I really appreciate the fact that we had to be like, ew, people are making us feel weird. Like, let's just get ahead of it,
The female artist category, the CMAs, it's a phenomenal category. Yourself, Carrie, Maren, Miranda and Casey Musgraves. You could build a case for any of you guys to win the award. But how big a deal would it be for you if you won?
I'm really practical with awards. So to be nominated is epic. I mean that. It's not my year. I hope that there's going to be a year where I'm like, this might be my year, but it's not. I mean, I'm kind of in between albums, so they've all had probably a bigger year than me.
Essentially, you're only ever a 20% chance of winning in theory. So
essentially, you're right.
But do you still get bummed when you don't win?
No, the thought of having to have a certain face on camera and then walk up and give a speech gives me so much anxiety that it's fine. I'd much rather just sit in my seat and let someone else do it.
Well, good luck anyway.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Morgan for a second.
Yeah.
You've been married, a couple of years
Almost
now.
2 years. Yeah.
How much influence do you guys have on each other's careers?
Ooh, I don't know if influence would be it. We definitely we're each other's filters, I think, whether it's for songs or like imaging, like he's, working on new music right now and he's been showing me his mood boards and we just help each other with that kind of stuff. And it's super fun because we know each other better than anyone. So we have probably the most honest opinion for each other. And it's so much fun. Yeah.
He's had incredible success in the last couple of years. Number one single in America, pop radio success, as we talked about before here in Australia. If that hadn't happened, and obviously he went over to Nashville before you guys met and got together, and it's the odds of an Australian act breaking in America are very small.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Olivia Newton-John, Keith Urban, Morgan Evans. And there's been a couple of other artists have little quick bits of success, but not to the extent that Morgan's having now. If that hadn't happened, if he'd gone over there and nothing, had started happening, I can imagine that could have been quite difficult for you both. For both of you. Have you ever worried about that?
So when we first started dating, he was essentially starting over in Nashville. He had wild success here, but he was kind of ground upping in Nashville. And I was having Peter Pan, which was the biggest single I've ever had until Miss Me More. So I was kind of on a high. And he was, he didn't have a record deal. And so we built our relationship from there. And I say that because last year, I was making a lot of internal changes with my team, which was really, really hard for me. And I had my first essentially failed single at radio. And he had 2 songs in the top 10. One as a songwriter, one as an artist. And he was killing it. And it didn't change anything. I mean, we're really good at being able to balance each other out and perspective check each other. And we're one of us is always going to be, doing better than the other at any given day. Or one of us gets good news one day and one of us gets bad news, and it's just part of it. And we've both felt like when I'm kind of, driving for a bit, and then when he is, and we've kind of dealt with both and are good at both now, and it's just part of us.
Do you guys ever have difficulty switching off when you're both sort of actively doing stuff and come home and
it's difficult because it's not like it's a 9 to 5 kind of job, it's from like we're like, oh my gosh, I wrote this song today about this, and then this person said this, and blah blah blah. Like it's not just a 9-to-5 desk job. We're this is our life. So it's
Lifestyle.
really it's a lifestyle. Yeah. So it's not the kind of thing where we can be like, okay, let's not talk about work for dinner. It's like work is our entire life. So yeah, it's definitely hard to switch off for a bit. I get the whole like, babe, put down your phone like like 3 times a week. But it's fine.
You've always been very active and very open with your fans on social media.
Yeah.
Do you ever need time to take time out?
I think I'm being more like oversharing now than ever. And I think it kind of goes along with Homecoming Queen, that just this whole chapter, I just want to be like, I want to care more about less, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. I just
simplify things.
I want to simplify things, and the things that matter to me, I want to care more about, and just care less about anything else. So I've kind of just been like posting like funnier stuff, and like just more like, I don't know, more like real life stuff, and like stuff with my real friends and my dog, and I don't overthink that too much right now.
Let's talk about Homecoming Queen, a stunning song.
Thanks.
What for you is the key message? What do you want to get across to people with that song?
Well, I was not the homecoming queen. It's the metaphor, because I think everyone knows a homecoming queen that's, seemingly, has a charmed life, and they're always so put together and never have anything wrong. And that's just not anyone at all. And I think for me, the way I related to this is I love every bit of my life. Like the fact that I get to tour, and the fact that I get to like have a song that goes to radio is like the coolest thing in the entire world. And I think that because of that, I went through this season where I didn't allow myself to ever have a bad day, and I would guilt trip myself if I felt sad, or if I felt homesick, or if I felt insecure or struggling with anxiety. Like I didn't give myself permission to ever feel any of that, which that's just human, And I think for me, this song was just all about peeling back the layers of what I was presenting myself as all the time, which was together and happy and glittery and blah, and just being like, you know what? There are days where I feel like that, and I never want to feel guilty for that. But there are also days where I just want to cry. And there are days where I don't feel good about myself. And there are days where I am questioning, like, what's next? Am I good enough? All of that. And that's okay too. And yeah, that was a long answer, but that's what it's about to me.
There's a line in the first verse, nobody's feeling sorry for you.
Yeah.
That could have a double meaning to me.
Okay.
There's 2 ways I interpret that. Is that deliberate?
Well, how do you hear it?
Well, there's nobody's feeling sorry for you, suck it up. Or there's, oh, what a shame, no one's feeling sorry for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's both. It's both.
That's what I thought.
And because, like, the homecoming queen, that metaphor, it's like, why would anyone feel sorry for someone who gets voted on as the homecoming queen? Like, why? But I think sometimes when you're in that position, it's very isolating and it's very lonely, And I don't, like, I say that and like it sounds like I'm like talking about myself like I'm Beyonce. Like, listen, I'm like a D-list country celebrity, but I think, but I think that it's like there are moments where, it's you just feel a little bit lonely. Yeah.
I know with your last album, you really wanted people to notice your songwriting, and you did that by creating a body of work around 3 specific periods in your life.
Yeah.
Is there a specific direction or goal you have for this next album?
It's still like coming together, so it's hard to really say exactly like what it will be. But it's a lot more of a lot. It's not as like flowy as the story of Unapologetically was. This one's a lot more probably like bold and has a lot more flavor to it. I like what I know so far of it is There's a song with horns. There's a song with a string quartet. There's 2 collaborations. There's like just a lot more of a lot. And as a songwriter, and like I'm co-producing this album, it's the first time I've done that. Like I'm just having so much fun and learning so much of like pushing myself and trying different sounds, and it's just been so much fun.
How many songs do you write for an
So
album?
many songs. I mean, that's why we've cut 10, and I'm waiting to get these all mixed before I pick the rest of the album, because there's probably 100 songs still that I love that I've written for this album that I just don't know what I need.
Over 100 songs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not all good, but yeah. It's like, you know, with the 10 that we have, it's like those are the ones that are going to be the radio singles, and those are the ones that are kind of more mainstream. And so the rest of the record is like what I get to play with. It's like the wild cards. And so now I'm trying to figure out, like, out of these 100 songs, what are my wild cards going to be?
With the advent of streaming, there's always this talk about the algorithm and, you know, how that impacts on playlisting and how people listen to music on streaming. Has that impacted on your songwriting approach at all?
No, maybe it should. No, it hasn't. I think the one thing
You know how
that
to say, you know, if a song gets to the hook quicker, it's less likely to get skipped and all that stuff.
Lord, I don't think about any of that. I don't even think I know those algorithms. But I do. One thing I do love about streaming is I think that it does, and I kind of said this earlier, but it really allows like a song that would never be the single to country radio to have a life. Like maybe it gets playlisted in Easy Hits or something, you know, and all of a sudden that song kind of has a life of essentially a single. I think that's a really cool thing that it offers.
Case in point, Better Luck Next Time, which is not part of an album, hasn't
No.
gone to radio, there's no video.
It streams like
but it's becoming a
crazy.
huge song on streaming platforms. I looked this morning, over 22 million streams on Spotify alone.
Yeah.
So obviously the algorithm likes that song.
It's funny. I mean, it was from a show called Songland, and we were putting out Homecoming Queen like a month and a half after that. So we were like, okay, this will kind of hold us over until Homecoming Queen. And it came out, and we all like started like looking at the numbers, and like Spotify would like meet with the team and be like, this is really we're gonna playlist this in like today's top hits. Like it's doing well. And we're like, what? So yeah, it was like a pleasant surprise.
Do you have aspirations beyond music, movies, Broadway?
It's so funny. So many people have always said, like, you should do acting. And I'm like, I am so awkward in front of a camera. But I'm in this season of, like, just trying whatever. And so, yeah, if, like, a weird, like, tiny, tiny little baby role came up, I'd try it.
What type of role, you know? would
Like,
you be into
you
doing?
know, like a Rebel Wilson comedy. Like, I would like to be, like, the friend that, like, comes in and, like, has a drink with Rebel Wilson and then, like, leaves.
That'd be
So
enough.
I'd like to play me in the movie. I just like to drink with Rebel Wilson. That's the moral of that story.
I have 2 more questions for you. First one, what is the most annoying part of being an artist?
I have 2 answers to that. The universal answer that I think every artist would say is the travel. I hate flying and just airports.
All the time.
I hate it. Yeah. That's the only part that's work to me is the travel. Everything else is fun. The second part about it is being a chick, having to like try to look presentable all the time. Like after this, I'm going to go put on sweatpants. Yeah. So I think those are the 2 annoying parts.
And final question, if there is one piece of advice you could give to an aspiring young artist who wants to do what you're doing now, what would that be?
I have 2 answers to this too. One would be, if there's anything in you that wants to write, be a songwriter. Like that is, to me, the golden ticket of being an artist. I think it is the heart and soul of me as an artist, at least. And I think that if it's something that you are capable of doing, it should it should be something that you build your entire dream around. And secondly, I say this and it being a new thing for me, but I didn't trust my gut for a long time. I really kind of just asked a lot of questions and learned. And I think there's part of me that I think that's really healthy, always wanting to learn. But I think that if you have a gut that you trust, always follow that. I think, just now really doing it more with my career, it's really changed my life, and it makes me a lot happier with all the decisions that I make, that knowing that I really made them. And with the songs that I'm writing and cutting, it's like I know that I decided to do that. And I think it's really liberating, and it makes you more proud of your journey and your path when you know that it's yours, and you have surrounded yourself with the people that you've surrounded yourself with, and you've written the songs, and you've kind of been in the driver's seat. I think that's really important. So if you can, you should write, and you should always follow your gut.
Kelsea, thank you so much.
Thank you
for chatting with me today.
Get to catch up.
Wait to hear the new album. I have no doubt it will be amazing. Thank you for watching the Tone Countrycast. Remember to click subscribe so you get all the new episodes as soon as they go live. I'm Tim Holland, and I look forward to your company next time on the next episode of the Tone Countrycast.